Yo, what's good, people? There's Rocksteady at King of the Pit TV signing in. Hopesfall was the band we listened to just a moment ago. The EP, only 4 tracks, was entitled No Wings to Speak Of. It was recommended on the Patreon by my good friend Joel, sticking with his rightful pseudonym of the metalcore connoisseur. This record was put out 2001, 2002. Trustkill Records, if I remember correctly, but maybe I'm wrong there. I believe it's Trustkill. Great sounding production. 4 tracks. The full EP in one video tells me it's 90 minutes 35 seconds long. And I'm tired, people, don't get me wrong. But we're going to go into a little bit of detail on this record. I thought the production was very good. I thought it was very, very, very symbolic of the times. I felt it was a good project. I felt it was well invested, right? A couple of quid. Even though it's 4 tracks, you can tell they've really gone to a nice studio for this, got a nice producer for this. And not only that, but the investment resides in the actual detailing of the songwriting as well. They've not just riffed about for 2 minutes straight and then gone into a different section. There's so many different elements and so many, fascinating dynamics and harmonies and cool moments on this record, song by song by song. And I really like the atmospheric element of this band. This isn't a mosh band. This isn't a mosh record. We're not erring on the metalcore where it's like breakdown emphasized, breakdown concentrated. We're in the realms of metalcore where we're erring a little more towards musicianship and craft and some degree of melodic hardcore, emo sort of elements, which I spoke of briefly, and probably like the first track. I like the twinkly guitars. I think this band's got a great use of 2 guitars. The drumming is very good. I do like the drumming. Kind of in 2 minds as far as how the drum is produced. The producer is given a little bit of leeway to the guitars, whereas the drummer, isn't the most prominent instrument in the mix. But that's not to say it was of detriment. It sounded really good. Of course, the vocals, harsh, some clean vocals. Nothing abnormal as far as metalcore is concerned of this particular, sector. I enjoyed it. I thought this was a good project. It was nice to listen to a 4-track EP. I think, although it would be absolutely fantastic to listen to a full-length album by this band, I think if this record was 10 tracks, it could potentially outstay its welcome. It could burn me out, because there is so much content, and we are going from cool, calming, soothing to extremity and back and forth, to such an extent where I might be, mentally burnt out and my concentration might have moved on elsewhere if it wasn't as brief as it was, because it's a very powerful and, well orchestrated record, but such, you find that the easy listening and, successful marketable records, tend to be a little more dumbed down, a little more simple, because they don't wear the listener out. And this is an act which is got quite an intense sound, the harsh vocals and whatnot. So I think that I say all that to say it is a benefit to this being a 4-track. Very enjoyable. On that note, I am going to sign out. I want to say one love. I'm going to rate this record. You know what? I'm going to be bold with this one. No, I can't. I have to stick with the program. I was wanting to give it an 8 because I think it's great quality, concentrated material for what it is, but purely down to the fact it's not necessarily my flavour, you know. I like something a little bit more mosh pit friendly. I like a good breakdown. I like a, you know, ignorant, primitive, knuckle dragging mosh riff. Purely down to that, I'm going to just take half of a point off, you know, for personal tastes. But as far as a project is concerned, I'd be happy to give it an 8, but we'll call it a 7.5 to meet you halfway, yeah. That was no wings to speak of. Yeah, that was a satisfying listen. I'm signing out.